plan a long-term one. America needs to focus on their infrastructure. It makes us more effective and more efficient. I think there's a place we could find common ground with Republicans and Democrats.
Are you ready to renegotiate trade deals, even if that risks getting into trade wars?
Look, good trade deals are good for America. We want manufacturing jobs. I know the Canadian ambassador said he's willing to talk about it. But one thing we need, when you have 95% of people living outside of this country and we produce more than we could actually sell with inside, we need good trade deals. And that's what President-elect Donald Trump is for, a good deal.
What about Trump's plan, as he puts it, to drain the swamp in Washington? Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell has already said that term limits, which is one of Trump's ideas, are going nowhere.
Well, I think what Washington needs to do is wake up to what happened in this election. This was a big election. Washington has to change. That we need to make the public understand that this is their government, that we work for them, that we serve them. That's why you'll find on day one.
Yeah, but are there going to be structural changes, Congressman, like term limits?
Well, term limits is something that can be brought up and voted on. I know the Supreme Court kicked it out, said it was unconstitutional, but if it could be voted on and passed, it's a way. I've watched states do it. Some it failed at and some it worked at. I think the most important term limit you have is at the ballot box, and we've got to show that we can actually work and solve the problem.
Some of your committee chairs are still talking about investigating Hillary Clinton. Here is Congressman Jason Chaffetz, who's the chair of the House Committee on Oversight.
There's still a lot of questions, and no matter who wins or loses this election come Tuesday, the Congress is still going to look into it.
Now that Hillary Clinton's been defeated, is that really what you want to spend time on when you have a governing majority investigating Hillary Clinton?
Look, I'm the majority leader. I set the agenda. The agenda is going to be about job creation. It's going to be about reforming and repealing Obamacare. It's going to be about infrastructure. That's the focus that this election was about. President-elect Donald Trump has a vigorous agenda.
Wait, I got that. Congressman, what about investigating Hillary Clinton? Is that part of your agenda as the majority leader?
I leave that portion to law enforcement. It's just the way to keep politics out of it. Let's create jobs in this country. That's our agenda.
Finally, what's your sense of Donald Trump? Do you expect him to lay out broad principles and leave the details of legislation to Congress?
Well, I've dealt with Donald Trump quite a bit. I've talked to him a lot. The one thing I found in his business world, he was successful. He finds the very best people, gives them some freedom, lays out the guidelines, and it has high expectations and holds people accountable. Just look at the ice skating rink in Central Park. He was able to do something that government was not able to do, make it under budget and make the job done on time, just like he did with his recent hotel in Washington, D.C. I think he'll expect that of government, and it'll be a change, and it will be an exciting change.
But briefly, do you expect him to just to lay out principles and then leave the legislating to members of Congress?
I think what he'll do, he'll lay out the principles, he'll hold us accountable. This is the key part of, which I think is one of his secret weapons, Vice President-elect Mike Pence has a clear understanding of how government works, being a governor, but also, more importantly, having served in Congress. He'll be able to work together to make sure we're held accountable to get the job done.
Congressman McCarthy, thank you. Thanks for talking with us today, and we'll be following all of this. Should be an exciting at least 100 days, and I would think 6 months, maybe even 4 years. Thank you, sir.